Good morning, guys. How's everyone today? It is August 12th. Welcome to Faith and Football. My name is Neil, and I'll be your host. Today, we're doing a very special, personalized mock draft for one of our subscribers, Colt Day. Hey, Colt, how's it going, my man? This one's for you. Listen, before we get into it, we're doing it from the 10th spot. We're doing a full PPR 10-team league from the last spot. But I want to ask you a question. This time of year for fantasy football, this is the time of year that we have our guy. Like, we've done all the listening, we've done all the research. Thoughts have started to develop around one specific player. We either like him from years past, or we've become enamored with his ability and upside for this season. But is it realistic? Can we get them where we're drafting? Probably not, but we still cling to them. We cling with everything that we have to this one player, and we really, really, really want this guy, and we cling to him with everything we have. So here's my question for you. How tightly are you clinging to your faith? How tightly are you clinging to God? Never thought about it like that, did you? I know I didn't. So I want to read to you from 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 19. It says, cling to your faith in Christ and keep your conscience clear. For some people have deliberately violated their consciences, and as a result, their faith has been shipwrecked. That paints a pretty clear picture from Paul in this letter to Timothy. So, what are you clinging to today? Are you clinging to the God who created us? Are you clinging to the God who created the universe and is in control of all things? Or are you clinging to the things of man? Are you clinging to the things that mean very little in the long run? I know right now, some things that you're clinging to might seem really, really important. But if you do some really deep soul searching and think about the things that we cling to, it's not, number one, it's not really worth it. And number two, it doesn't do you any good. But the one thing that is stable and steadfast throughout the ages is Jesus Christ. So I encourage you today, whatever you're clinging on to, let it go. And I know it sounds a little cliche, but let go and let God. Cling to the Lord, cling to your faith, and see how your life starts to change. I know mine did. I clung to so many things that didn't mean anything, that didn't do me any good, that in the long run hurt me, and I didn't even know it till it was too late. So I encourage you today, take the words of Paul to heart and cling to your faith in Christ. So I hope that encourages you today. I hope it kind of gives a new perspective on things. So again, welcome into Faith and Football. And before you guys start going crazy or anything about the color shirt that I'm wearing, no, I'm not changing teams. It's a Cameron Crazy shirt from the Duke Blue Devils. Yes, I'm a huge Dookie. I was raised on the East Coast, even though I live in Louisiana now, and I will always be a diehard Duke fan. So sad to see Coach K go, but I digress. So as I said, today we're going to get into, and I know I shaved, you can see a little more of my face. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but if you got a comment, leave it below when you subscribe, like, and share for me. Okay, guys? Also, like, take a second, say hi to all the people at Zia. They are my first and longtime sponsor of the show. Also, we are running a promotion with Zia here at Faith and Football. If you go in and tell them that you heard about them on this channel, you can get your free appetizer with the purchase of an entree. Phenomenal food down there, guys. If you haven't been and you're in the Lafayette, Louisiana area, go down and check them out. They're on Doucet Road, right in front of Red Laurel's and behind the Ambassador Caffrey. I'm sorry, behind the Johnson Street Grand Theater. So go down and check them out. They have awesome food, the grits, the ribs, the rotisserie chicken. And right now they have a trout mock shoe that is to die for. Look, if you're listening and you're not from Louisiana and you don't know what mock shoe is, don't worry. I didn't either until I moved down here. But it is delicious. And if you're in the area, please stop by. Give them a call, 406-0013, or find them on DoorDash or Waiter. Okay, guys? Also, Keller's Bakery in Youngsville. Look, my church is doing a 21 days of prayer and fasting. So I have given up sweets and have given up soda for the next 21 days. I know, trust me, it's killing me right now because I work in food and around sweets and soda all the time. So pray for me, guys. Okay. But look, Keller's, if you don't have any dietary restrictions right now, go down and check them out. They're absolutely phenomenal. They are on 627 Lafayette Street in Youngsville, Louisiana. So go see Zia, then go down and get some dessert at Keller's. Or if you want to stop by early in the morning, get you that box of donuts. I can't blame you on that one, guys. And if you mention that Faith in Football sent you, you get 2 free mini cupcakes. So go down, get some from me, okay? Go down there and tell them that Neil on Faith in Football sent you. Pick up your 2 free mini cupcakes and enjoy. So it is draft season in fantasy football. If you are new to the fantasy football world, this is the time when you're either mock drafting like crazy or you're preparing for your draft that's going to be coming up soon. Ours is going to be early next month, a couple of days before the season kicks off. And you might be wondering, why do it so late? In my previous episode, I spoke about how drastically the views change on players from not just month to month, but like day to day. There are players getting injured. There are players that are getting hyped up, players that are falling off a little bit. I know that there's a big question right now about Zach Wilson. He's a guy that I've been really big on, but there's the camp reports that are coming out have not been exactly glowing. Those are things to pay attention to because everybody talks positive at this time of year. Everybody is overly hyped. But when you start hearing the negatives coming out, that's when you sit up and pay attention, okay? And there are negatives coming out about Zach Wilson. He's not ready. He can't be the starter. He might not be prepared. He's too erratic. So, like I said, if you've watched any of this show, I've said it before. I love Zach Wilson. The end of drafts, he still does not hurt your fantasy team if you're taking him as a backup quarterback or as a flyer at the end of the draft. Let's say that you're that guy in your draft who drafted Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is out until about week 6. And as I said before, in previous episodes, we don't know what kind of Michael Thomas we're going to be getting when he does come back. So if you go ahead and he falls far enough for you to be comfortable drafting him, that's fine. I understand it totally. And if you have IR spots in your league, injured reserve spots for those of you who are new, where you can take him and you put him on your IR spot, great. It frees you up a spot to go out and maybe pick up Zach Wilson, hold on to him for about the first 2 or 3 weeks and see what's going on in season. Those are some of the strategies that you can use to kind of outwit your league mates, okay? Who knows? Maybe Zach Wilson is going to be, I'm not going to go as far as to say the next Patrick Mahomes, but that style of quarterback where he's a dual threat, okay? But he's someone to definitely keep an eye on. There's a reason that the Jets passed over every other quarterback that was available to get this guy. They saw something in him to make him the number 2 overall pick in the draft. Okay, guys? Just something to think about. So let's get into a little news right now. News is brought to you by Sleeper Fantasy Football. Sleeper is the fastest growing app on the market for fantasy football. They're absolutely phenomenal. They keep adding things all the time. The updates, I love having the updates. No, they're not a sponsor, but look, Sleeper, if you're listening, I'd love to have you. So bad news. Well, some news for the Cowboys. Let's say this. Dak Prescott is to get another MRI next week on his throwing shoulder. Okay. Something to keep an eye on. As I've said before, I'm not big on any Cowboy outside of CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is going to be the only guy that I would recommend, not that I'm going to be taking him, but that I would recommend taking. We saw last year with Andy Dalton and Ben DiNucci that he's capable of fantasy relevance even without Dak Prescott. Okay. Mark Cooper dinged up. Michael Gallup, they come out and said that they're not going to extend him. So what is that mindset there? Is he having the mindset that he's going to just ball out, playing for a new contract with a new team when he hits free agency? Or is he upset and doesn't care anymore? We don't know. We're not in season. Justin Jefferson, an AC joint sprain, reports out now that he's saying he's looking good. Practice a little on the hype side. So something to think of, because Justin Jefferson has been taken very high in a lot of drafts. Last year, he had the best season for a rookie wide receiver ever. Okay. And this is what happened last year was crazy, because he started out nothing. And his ascension into fantasy dominance was epic. Okay. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Jalen Hurts is back at practice after missing Tuesday. Let's see. Rashad Bateman, he suffered a significant groin injury. So that's something to keep an eye on. Anybody who has to make cuts, running backs, wide receivers, that has to turn quickly, when they get a groin injury, that's something to keep an eye on, okay? Carson Wentz, they say he's trending toward playing in week 1. We'll see. I'm not big on Carson Wentz, but it does affect Jonathan Taylor, running back for the Indianapolis Colts. So definitely worth keeping an eye on. Zach Moss, who a lot of people have been high on as well. He's taking it one day at a time with a hamstring injury. So that's also something to keep an eye on. Rashad Bateman's injury, they're saying it should be weeks and not months, but I'm not big on any wide receiver from a pool of passing that is not that deep. Okay, this is like a puddle of passing in Baltimore. They are the heaviest run offense in the league. So, alrighty. So that'll do it for our news right now. And we will go ahead and start our mock draft for Mr. Colts. And here we go. Move myself over here. All right, so you see we have 10-team league. This is a full PPR league, which means that the pass volume is a little heavier. For those of you who don't remember, PPR is points per reception, which means that every pass you catch, you get a point for it. Okay. Makes guys like CMC, running backs like CMC and Dalvin Cook that much more valuable. That's why these guys are going 1, 2, along with Alvin Kamara at 3. And bang, if you're listening, this is why you're not a sponsor. So I'm being forced to drink this off-brand Crystal Light right now. But I would love to have you guys do. I love your stuff. It's delicious. So I put a 5-minute timer on this because I'm down at the 10th spot. So it's going to take a little bit for me to analyze the rest of the draft, and I don't want to run out on time for you guys. So let's start. And here's the thing is that when you're drafting against a computer, then you're going to get some really weird stuff happening. Okay. This is one of the things that I'm talking about. And I'm really glad that this happened like this because, one, it's a 10-team league, not a 12-team league. So some of your picks are going to fall a little different. Barkley is not going to fall or not going to be taken that early. If he is, I'd be very curious to see who that person is and how much they actually know about fantasy football. Usually it's going to be McCaffrey number 1, Cook number 2, and then you get into the question marks at number 3, like we talked about last time. But look, you're going to have your guys that you really, really want. Like I spoke of earlier, it's just not going to happen in the first round. If you got this dream scenario that you're picking 7 and you're going to have Derrick Henry fall to you, or you're going to have Dalvin Cook fall to you, or Kamara, it's not going to happen. Okay, guys. Now, here's the question that you have is you have a really long wait between your second pick and your third pick, because you're going to go 1, 2, and then you're going to go all the way through the rest of the second into the third and then all the way back. Okay. So you're talking 18 path. Let me see if I got my math right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Yeah, that's right. 18 picks between your second and your third. Okay. This is why the first and the last spot have such value. You got to hit on these guys. Okay. So if you got to hit on some guys. Now, Aaron Jones, I'm really not that high on. Okay. And here's the other thing I'm going to talk about is, well, let's let it play out for the second round. I'll show you guys. Wide receiver, you see Diggs got taken with the 9th spot. Now, normally it's going to be Hill and Devontae Adams. Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams. Every once in a while, you get Travis Kelce thrown in there. So I'm going to take Devontae Adams. Now, here's the choice you make. Do I take one of these running backs that has fallen to me because I'm not going to get a shot later on? Or do I get a difference maker at the position with Travis Kelce? Now, me, myself, personally, I would love to go ahead and take Kelce here because I know that there are running backs later on in the draft that I could take, but this is why we do mock drafts, is to play around with it and see what our team looks like and how the draft falls. So one of the guys that I really recommend this year, Awesome Eckler, and here's why. I've preached all the time about environmental drafting and environmental roster management. That's looking at the environment around the player as opposed to looking at their stats from last season. Things change, coaches move, players come and go. So what's going to happen this year. Austin Eckler is in the same position he was last year. He's got a quarterback who is up and coming in Justin Herbert. He was outstanding with Herbert, highly involved in the passing game, and we expect him to be even more so this year. So, buck the trend, take Austin Eckler, and we see Team A do something very interesting. They go Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Do you really want to put that much of your fantasy team into the same team? Okay. Now, we see Waller and Kittle go back to back here. So what does that mean? That means that the top three tight ends are gone. So if we look at tight end, we've got 3 more left. And I've got 2 back-to-back picks. Now, is there anybody else outside of those 3 that I'd be willing to take? Because here's what you have to ask yourself. It's not who am I taking, it's who am I passing up on. Like, if I had taken Kelce, I would have passed up on being able to take Eckler or Jones or Elliott or Mixon or Najee. I'll tell you right now, for the first part of the second round, I'm not really big on taking Najee that high. He's not up there for me just yet, okay? So you've got to be realistic when you're trying to make these evaluations, okay? We see Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen both go early. So let me look at running back here. Antonio Gibson, another one that's going to be highly targeted in the passing game, along with being the only running back in the backfield. Yes, there's still J.D. McKissick there, but this is not Alex Smith. This is not Dwayne Haskins or Tyler Heineke, under center. This is Mr. Ryan Fitzpatrick, okay? So Fitzpatrick is not Mr. Checkdown, but he can involve the running back. Now, we've got the upside of Keenan Allen, but I do like Mike Williams later in the draft, which allows you to go get Mr. Consistency himself, Allen Robinson. Robinson, definite upgrade at quarterback this year. So, with that being said, I have no problem taking Allen Robinson at this point in time. Let's see at running back, and I'll go ahead and take Antonio Gibson simply because Josh Jacobs, I'm not going to take that high, okay? Now you're going to see a lot of players or a lot of receivers go off the board here. CeeDee Lamb gone, Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, Jamar Chase, McLaurin gone. Now McLaurin I did give serious consideration to at the turn. And this is the thing about the turn, is that you're going to have to, if you want a player, you're going to have to jump up and take them early. So if I wanted a tight end, it's really hard to take a tight end at the turn, okay? They're probably going to fall somewhere, a little lower. And we see Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, your top 4 off the board. The guys after this are really, in my mind, really interchangeable. A lot of people are scared off of Aaron Rodgers. We don't know what's going on with Russell Wilson. They've had that little tiff in Seattle in the offseason. There's talk about them wanting to run the ball more. That's why they changed OCs. So there's not really a guy who I'm going to be wanting to jump up and get that I can't get later on. Okay. Now, the one thing I will say is that, like I said, I am loving Justin Herbert, so I'll probably wind up taking him. But if we look at the running back situation here, it's getting pretty thin. Look at the wide receivers. Again, more interchangeable. And this is the mid rounds. This is where you have to look at guys, and look at their environment, look at their involvement. We see Cooper Kupp gone. I really want a piece of this offense. So I will tell you right now, I'll go ahead and take Robert Woods at this position in the 5th. And let's extend this a little bit. Now we see Michael Thomas is falling hard as far as his ADP goes. There's a couple guys that I like later on. Take a look at tight end. Now, this is what I'm talking about when I say you're going to have to reach for players, okay? TJ Hawkinson. This is the last of the upper echelon tight ends for this year. Everybody's throwing Kyle Pitts in there. I'm saying, TJ, let's go ahead and we'll jump up and get him. And you're going to see quarterbacks start going off the board at a little more regular pace right now. We see Michael Thomas go there in the 6th. They're looking for that as a value pick, and we're going to evaluate that here in just a second. Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott off the board. So, and here's a interesting thing. This is going on with the Denver backfield. Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon are going very, very close. What does that mean? That means that nobody knows what in the world's going on in Denver. That's what that means. So, if you believe, there's 2 schools of thought. Either Melvin Gordon is going to stave off the Javonte Williams assault on his position, or he's done, he's over. They drafted Javonte Williams to replace him, and eventually, during the season, he will overtake Gordon as the starting running back. Or you can take my school of thought, these guys are going to eat into each other all season long. It's going to be a nightmare, and you're not going to know what to do with these guys. Look, I would rather take somebody who I know for a fact is going to be the only running back, or at least the lead in a committee. Okay. Now, if we look at let's look at the Melvin Gordon team first. Yeah, I really don't like this backfield. He has Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, and Melvin Gordon. I don't like the Sanders pick. I don't like the Jones pick. There was CEH available at that time. There was Joe Mixon, Najee Harris, guys like that. I would definitely have taken Joe Mixon after I took Eckler. So yes, I do give serious consideration to Mixon over Eckler, but I like the quarterback more in the situation with the Chargers over the situation with the Bengals. Okay. I still love Joe Burrow, just not as much as Justin Herbert. And this is a personal preference thing. Okay, guys. And that's the thing about fantasy football. And I want you guys to remember that when you're drafting. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to draft guys who you want to have fun with. Okay, yes, you want them to win, but if they lose and you were unhappy with them to begin with, how miserable is your season going to be? Just something to keep in mind. Okay. So what do we have here? We have I've got 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and my tight end. Now, if we look at my quarterback situation, yes, I am perfectly fine, and I believe it is an awesome pick to be able to get the neighborhood man, Mr. Aaron Rodgers, at this spot, at the 7, at the 7-10. This is crazy that Aaron Rodgers has fallen this far. Like, he's league MVP, guys. How is Dak Prescott being taken above him? How is Russell Wilson being taken above him? As much as I love Justin Herbert, how is he being taken above Aaron Rodgers? I don't get it. Let's check out running back here. Now, if you guys have watched before, you know who I'm about to select. I spoke about it before. Taking a workhorse running back in the 8th round is crazy. Mike Davis is going to be it. And remember, the new head coach used to be the OC for the Titans. Now, I'm not saying that he is any kind of resemblance to Derrick Henry, but I'm telling you right now that old habits die hard, and Mike Davis showed what he was made of in Carolina, showed that he still had something to prove, and proved it, in my opinion. Yes, he kind of fell off a little later in the year, so there's talk about, is he able to carry that workload? Here's the thing, guys, and this is a strategy that you can use. Build him up in the first part of the season. If you have questions about his durability, let his performance sell him for you to trade him later for someone else who might have fallen off. I know last year I was able to trade for Derrick Henry because he had a couple of off games and he had really tough run defenses coming up. So I was able to talk the owner into a trade 2-for-1. So if you've got Mike Davis and somebody who's maybe okay, they've been steady, go to someone who's having trouble with one of their stars they might not be too happy with and offer them that deal. Trust me, it's hard to turn it down, especially mid-season when you're not doing well and you're trying to vie for that playoff position. Something to think about. So, Noah Fant, Mike Gesicki. Why Mike Gesicki is being taken in the 9th round is beyond me. Brady gone off the board, Trevor Lawrence off the board. And here's the thing about Brady, guys. Even as prolific as Brady was last year, his ADP is not going to move. There are too many people that are scared that the wheels are going to fall off finally, and they're just passing him up left and right. Matter of fact, let's see. Yeah. Taking your starting quarterback in the 8th round is unheard of. Usually starting quarterbacks are going in the 5th and the 6th. Okay. Because you're going to get that run. When you're in your home league, you're going to have a run on quarterbacks because somebody's going to take Kyler Murray and then everyone else is going to go, oh my goodness, Murray's gone. Allen's gone. Mahomes is gone. I don't want Prescott. I got to take Wilson. And then somebody's going to pick Wilson and they're going to go, oh my God, Prescott's the next guy. And then Prescott, and it's going to fall Rodgers and all these guys. Brady's going to be left for dead somewhere else, okay? Because nobody's going to want to touch him. And when you're taking all these quarterbacks, you're passing on all these wide receivers and running backs that are available in the 5th and 6th round. So again, when you take someone at the mid rounds, at that point, it becomes not so much who you're taking, but who you're passing on. Okay. Keep that in mind when you're making these decisions. So I have, let's take a look at our roster. We got Rodgers, Eckler, Gibson, Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson, Hawkinson, and then in my flex, I got Woods and Davis. So I'm pretty even for wide receiver and for running back. I've got my tight end and my quarterback locked up. Now, one of the benefits of locking up a tight end with one of the top 3 guys is it gives you more flexibility later in the draft. Also, what gives you more flexibility later in the draft is getting those high value running backs or the high value wide receiver. That allows you to build depth at the position. Okay. If you're out there and you went after, let's go up here. Let's say that I went after Adams and Hopkins. Okay. That's an outstanding start. Or if I did Adams and Kelsey, which probably would have happened in a live draft. If I did that, that gives me flexibility later on to go after guys who I'm taking flyers on. Now, if that had happened, I could have started out Adams, Kelsey, Robinson, and then my first running back would have been Gibson. Okay. And then I would have had to probably pick up, another running back a little earlier than what I would have wanted to. I would have probably taken I would probably have taken Kareem Hunt. I probably still would have wound up with Mike Davis. Don't ask me how I just drafted Kenyon Drake. So let's see. Okay, so let's back that up real quick. I do not want Kenyon Drake. Let's just be clear about that. The guy that I'm looking for here, and let's see. Now, these are the decisions that you're making late in the draft. We're at the 10, or we're at the 9, going into the 10. I'm pretty even. So if we're looking for depth at the running back position, okay, let's look at wide receiver real quick. Okay, so I've got my guy a little farther down. Check out the running backs. There are 2 here that if you are in this position, they're not going to fall back to you. Okay. So David Johnson, Damon Harris. I love these guys, and I'm trying to build a little more depth at my running back position because I didn't get it early. Yes, I got Antonio Gibson, who I absolutely love, but I'm trying to build depth. Now, Ryan Tannehill going in the 11th is absurd. Same thing with Matt Stafford. But like I said, this is what you get when you draft against a computer. So let's see who our backups are. I'm fine with waiting just a second. Now, if we look at the wide receiver position, we see Landry's gone, Antonio Brown, Will Fuller, who's going to be suspended for the first game. So week 1, you're not going to be able to use him. So that's why he's fallen down into the 11th. If it wasn't for that, he probably would be a lot higher. Okay. Curtis Samuel also dinged up for Washington. Marquise Hollywood Brown, again, dinged up. Laviska Shenault, we don't know. He's probably being pushed out. Robbie Anderson, I definitely gave serious consideration to Robinson as a depth piece. But with having the wide receivers that I currently do, I'm not really hard pressed to get the reunited Robbie Anderson with Sam Darnold connection going. Let's see. So at wide receiver, let's look and see what we have at the top here. Rashad Bateman, as I said, injured. Corey Davis. It's Corey Davis, and I'm not really sure what this Jets offense is going to look like. Michael Pittman, who's the quarterback? Please tell me. Somebody out there tell me. Who's the quarterback? Is it Carson Wentz? Is it not Carson? I don't know. So that leaves me with the next best pick, Mike Williams. He has proven before that he can be a high volume play for fantasy football. Now, here's the other thing I want you guys to see. You see all these quarterbacks that are gone? Roll up Burrow and Lawrence on the same team. I'm not about that. It's too young. They're too unknown. I would take Lawrence as a backup. And there's Kyler with Tannehill. There's Hurts with Herbert. There's Stafford with Mahomes. Lamar. So that team right there, team 5, does not have a backup. Prescott does not. Team 6 does not have a backup. Team 7 does not have a backup. Team 8 and Team 9 do not have backups. So what does that mean? And why am I looking at this? Here's the thing. Look at your draft board. Be cognizant of what's going on. Be aware of your environment in your draft, okay? If you've got this long of a wait before your next pick, you don't have a backup quarterback. Look at what's left. You've got a guy, Deshaun Watson, who may play, he may not play, he might be suspended, he might wind up on the commissioner's exempt list. I don't know. Baker Mayfield, streaming option. Okay, Justin Fields, he's not even the starter. Trey Lance, again, not even the starter yet. Is this somebody that you are comfortable not having or having as your quarterback? I'm not. The one guy in here who I know is time in and time again the fantasy football monster when it comes to passing yards, because their defense absolutely is horrible. That is Matty Ice, Matt Ryan as my backup. Got Aaron Rodgers. I've got him. So you're looking, Deshaun Watson's gone for that team. Keep going down the list and see what happens. Okay, Mayfield gone, Watson's gone. You're still left with Fields and Lance. I will tell you right now, I'm pretty sure that if Matty Ice was still around, he would have been taken. Trying to take a backup quarterback later than this leaves you with very slim pickings, okay? I would have loved to have been able to snag Tannehill. I would have had to do that in the 10th. But here's the thing I'm talking about when I say flexibility, is that if you're in the 10th and you start out, as I did, wide receiver heavy, 3 out of 5 picks were wide receivers, okay? It's a PPR league. I'm more concerned with receptions than I am with yard production. So my running backs reflect that. 2 guys who I believe are going to be involved in the passing game. Najee Harris, not so much. He's pretty much going to be a runner. Joe Mixon, maybe. Zeke Elliott, he might have Dak back. He might not. We don't know. But because I started that heavy on wide receiver instead of a little more balanced, going traditional. I would have gone wide receiver, running back, then into my quarterback. My quarterback becomes Aaron Rodgers, and then I need to back up the quality of Matt Ryan. Okay. If I had Mahomes, if I had Allen, if I had Kyler Murray, that would have given me the flexibility to go ahead and wait on a guy, like our Cousins. See who else we have down here. Zach Wilson, like I said before at the top of the show, take a flyer on him and see how it works out. You can always pick up somebody if Justin Fields is still out there or somebody's dropped him. See how that works out. So in the 13th, I've got one more pick left after this round of picks, the last pick in the draft. So let's see what we have. Now, here's a guy. If you want to take a flyer late, this is a guy to take a flyer on, is Elijah Moore. Every single report coming out of camp from every beat writer that I've listened to or heard of, Elijah Moore is the real deal. So regardless of what happens with Zach Wilson, this guy is going to be special. Okay. Now, do I want to be left with the bare minimum defense? No, because I get so tired of streaming defenses every single week based on matchup. You want somebody at every position that you can just plug and play and you're good. Now, every position isn't going to happen, but you want to do as many as you can. I can plug in TJ Hawkinson and not have to worry about my tight end position. I can plug in Aaron Rodgers and not worry about my quarterback position. I can plug in my top draft picks, not worry about 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. I'm good. I can rotate everybody else through my flex position based on matchup. The defense, you can plug them in and not worry about them. Go for it. Now, Baltimore, okay. Tampa, all right. I can totally see somebody taking Tampa because you've got Sam Darnold, new team, learning a new system, probably going to make some mistakes. You got the Saints in that division. So there's 4 games right there where you got a new quarterback, and then you got, I don't know, at quarterback for the Saints. Then you've got Atlanta where you got to face Matty Ice and that horrible defense. So I can see, leaning toward Tampa, but right here, I'm taking Washington, hands down, best defense that you can find. And so what if I'm being a little homer? My show, I can do it. So let's see what we got here. As I said, all defenses going here, and we see Jamal Williams being taken, Jonnu Smith at tight end, Evan Ingram. You got to pray for upside on that one. Hunter Henry has been dinged up, so I'm really laying off of him. Darnell Mooney is an interesting pick, having him this late in the draft, and Henry Ruggs. Ruggs could or couldn't be the number 1 on the Raiders. We don't know yet. And McCole Hardman, look, I don't know what to think about Hardman anymore. I like him personally. I think that he could be something, but he needs injury in order to step up and actually do something, okay? So let me look at this is the one pick. If you're in the 10 spot and this is the very last pick of the draft, you might be tempted just to go, whatever, just fill in it. I don't care. But this can also be the spot where you just perk up and go, hey, if this guy turns in, if somebody gets hurt, I might be able to, do something with this guy. So The very first pick in our draft was, let me just double check before I confuse it because I've done like 50 of these things. Yes, Christian McCaffrey. So, what happened last year? Everybody was taking Christian McCaffrey, number one, except me. I took Saquon, and look how that worked out. But anyway, I digress. Everybody's taking CMC. What happened? Got hurt. Everyone was scrambling to get Mike Davis off the waiver wire. Why not be proactive this year? It's your last pick. Do you really care about it that much? Is it going to hurt your squad if you screw up this pick? No. It's just going to be a roster spot you're going to be able to drop and pick up somebody after week 1. So, with that being said, I'll go ahead and take Chuba Hubbard, who is the backup to CMC. Saw how that one worked out, didn't we? Being a backup to a workhorse running back. Yeah, he's supposed to be healthy, but injuries happen all the time. See how that guy works out. Oh, sorry, guys. Let's review real quick. So, Mr. Colt, here is your team. Devontae Adams, Austin Eckler, Allen Robinson, Antonio Gibson, Robert Woods, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Rodgers, Mike Davis, DJ, David Johnson, Damon Harris, Mike Williams, Matt Ryan in at backup quarterback, a flyer on late Elijah Moore, a solid defense in Washington, and the backup taken at the very last spot for the number 1 overall pick, Christian McCaffrey. So, how did we do? Do you agree with my decisions for Colts team? Let me know down the bottom. Subscribe, like, and share. Colt, I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you liked your team. I hope you learned something, and I hope it showed you what you can expect on our draft day. Yep. Hughes Toxic and Colt are both in my league of record for this year. So, something to look forward to, and we'll see how much they learn from watching the show. I know my boy D Money, what's happening to D? He learned a lot these past couple of years being with me. He went from winning the Golden Plunger Award to the brink of playoff victory. So, hopefully he makes the next step. I'd love to see that from my boy. So, hope to see you guys soon. And remember, cling to Christ. Till next time, my name is Neil. This is Faith in Football, and I will see you guys next time. Don't forget, down the bottom, subscribe, like, and share, and leave me a comment. Tell me how we did and what you would like to see next.